Jackie McMillan was on a podcast with Brian Windhorst recently, and around the 30-minute mark, you guys can check out this podcast. They start talking about the kind of long shot chance that Kevin Durant would maybe consider coming to Boston on a sign-and trade. So Jackie pointed out that Durant had Boston as his second option in the free agent sweepstakes. And of course he went to Golden State, but he was strongly considering Boston. And she
still hurts.
Yeah, still hurts. I mean, if he had done that, I think the NBA would be so much more interesting right now. But she also pointed out that Kyrie and Durant are really tight. They work out together in the off season. They went to the Bahamas, and actually Jason Tatum hung out with them. Apparently the last two off seasons they hung out together. So the idea was that, it's not unthinkable that Durant could potentially orchestrate a sign and trade. First of all, do you think that's just insane? Do you think that could ever happen?
I mean, in my gut, do I think that's actually going to happen? No, I couldn't see it happening. But I think an underrated part of Kyrie is that he has so many close relationships around the league that, with Danny Ainge, I could see some sort of explosive firework blockbuster season happening at some point.
It could happen, especially if we end up kind of falling short of expectations. I think anything could happen in this offseason, more so than people think. I mean, if you think that our core is going to be Tatum and Brown and Hayward and Kyrie, I mean, be prepared for anything. I recently bought my dad a Jason Tatum t-shirt for Christmas, and I feel like it might have a lifespan on it, and that's bumming me out.
Yeah.
But, Brian Windhorst, in response to Jackie, said that the Warriors would absolutely entertain a sign and trade if Durant told them that he was leaving. And I honestly am of the opinion that Durant's probably going to leave. I just think that he's at some point going to want to start. I just think at some point he's going to want to try to earn some titles. And
I know what you mean. But, when you look at the NBA landscape, I don't think you'd go to LA with LeBron. That doesn't really, I don't think he'd be interested in being, I guess maybe he is. It's Kevin Durant, so who knows? But I don't think he would do that. I don't think he would want to go to just the absolute disaster that's the Knicks organization.
Yep.
So once those two are gone, where is he going to go?
I know, and the idea of him going to the Clippers is just kind of, it's silly to imagine that he's going to be in the LA's second, premier franchise. I think I posted at one point that it wouldn't shock me if he ends up going to the Lakers. I know that seems insane, but you think about it from the perspective of, assuming Golden State wins the championship this year, that's going to be his third championship for Golden State. Steph and Clay and Draymond, that will be their fourth. They'll be their fourth championship. So I could see maybe somehow LeBron convincing him, hey, I have three, you have three. Let's catch up to the Warriors. Let's do our thing in LA. It could happen. I wouldn't be totally shocked by it.
Yeah. Didn't Durant have that quote 2 weeks ago or whatever that said that wherever LeBron plays, it's super toxic and no one wants to be there or something like that?
He totally did. Yeah, he did. And he also said, I'm not going to have a recruiting, tour this year, and that I'll just kind of pick my team.
Yeah, I honestly, I just think he's going to stay with the Warriors. I can't imagine him leaving it. It's just too appealing of a situation.
So just to play along, though, and assume that it was possible, you had mentioned that on the forums, you're super in on the idea of trading for Anthony Davis. Do you have any limit? 100%. Is there any limit that you would not give up for him?
Well, obviously, there is a limit. I'm not sure exactly what that would be, but Tatum's on the table 100% for me. As much as I love Tatum and I think he's got all NBA upside, just Anthony Davis, he's only 25 right now. I think people recognize he's a top 5 player, but people don't recognize how much younger he is than all the other top 5 players. He's not even in his prime. So it's just, I would give up as much as we could, really, to get him.
Fair enough. So the thing that I wanted to point out here is I was just looking at the rules for a sign and trade.
And this is for a Kevin Durant situation.
This is for a Kevin Durant situation because I think let's entertain the idea that it was actually plausible that we could get Durant, but also the idea of getting Davis and Durant. What if we were able to trade for Anthony Davis? Does that make it intriguing for Kevin Durant, who loves to bandwagon onto great teams, to be I'm going to join Kyrie and Davis? So just if you had that idea in mind, one thing you have to be aware of is that with sign and trade rules, there's this rule that says that in the completion of the sign and trade, the team that acquires the player has to be below the salary cap apron. And so the apron for next season is $130 million. And then what happens is that apron becomes a hard cap. So you can't exceed that hard cap. So just so you're understanding what that means, just for anyone the one person who's listening to this, let's assume that Kyrie's probably going to make what, $35 million next year on his new contract.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it was probably going to be roughly the same for Durant. So what would end up happening is, assuming you had Kyrie making $35 million, and assuming you had Durant making $35 million, and then Davis, of course, you're trading for him, that's $27 million. Combined, those guys make $97 million. So that would leave our apron space, the amount of space that we had to fill out the rest of our team around those three guys, as $32 million. So that becomes very difficult, and you can start kind of reverse engineering, like what kind of stuff we're going to have to give up to get Durant in a sign and trade and to get Davis. Because if you're then left with only $32 million worth of cap space, that means that basically Hayward is 100% he's going to have to go. He can't stay, because there's no way he could be on the team at that point, because he makes $32.7 million. Even having those four guys puts us above the limit. So you can automatically assume Hayward is gone, either traded for Durant or traded for Davis. There's no way he could be on the team still. And the other thing is Horford. Horford is still under contract, but if he opted out, maybe he takes $20 million or something. Even that's not realistic, because then you're left with $12 million to fill out the rest of the team. So the only way,
and that's Marcus Smart alone.
Yeah, then that's Marcus Smart alone. So Marcus makes about $12 million. Tatum makes about $8 million. It really becomes extremely difficult to imagine a way of having anyone else on the team that we're familiar with right now. So
I could see a situation where, we would be very, very, very short on depth. It'd be tough.
Like, you could potentially have those three core guys making $97 million, and then maybe another 12, you keep Marcus Smart, maybe you get there, and then you're looking at another $20 million to just, Tatum's probably out, Brown's probably out, Morris is out, Rozier's out, like all those guys are out. You might have
for it to work.
Yeah, maybe Robert Williams.
Al Horford would have to take a pretty sizable team discount. Like, you'd have to really just be the MVP and just take a lot less money than he deserves, because that's without him on the team making like a little bit, because we'd have just no bigs really.
And that's the trouble. Like, even if you got Horford to say, I'm going to opt out and sign for $20 million a season over the next 4 years, Kyrie, Durant, Davis, and Horford, those combined guys, leaves you with just $12 million under the apron to fill out 11 more players. So that means, like, you're really going to have to scrape the bottom of the barrel to get a bunch of minimum level players. It's super difficult to imagine. So it's still plausible for anyone who's out there and really is dreaming of the idea of having Davis, Kyrie, and Durant together. It's plausible in the sense that, like, if they go to the Pelicans and say, hey, we'll give you Horford and Tatum and like these draft picks, and then they go to the Warriors and say, hey, we'll give you Hayward and Brown, which of course they would take at that point, because they're gonna, you could potentially do it, but it's very difficult.
Yep. Would be pretty incredible though.